everybody, this is HBCU Original and it's the Spotlight Hour.
Hey, listen, we are here, HBCU Original. We are with none other than my main man, Thomas Moyer in the building. Listen, HBCU educated, investor, marathon runner, listen, world traveler. He got the whole resume on lock, and we get ready to interview him. And listen, we get ready to have an awesome time. You get ready to find out the secret sauce of this brother and all the things he's been doing in the community. So we're really excited.
Appreciate y'all for having me, first of all. I went to a few different high schools here in Delaware. I went to St. E's. After St. E's, I went to Pencader. And after Pencader, I went to school in Pennsylvania to Valley Forge Military Academy. But college, my HBCU is St. Augustine University in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I studied business administration and with a concentration in real estate. So during school at St. Augustine University, I'll tell you how I got to my major. I always was business minded. I always had a business mind. First I wanted to sell sneakers, then I wanted to sell clothes. It always was something I would want to sell. But I got into real estate because we had a speaker come, and he just told me how much money he was making, to be honest. He was a guy, his name was Chris from DC, I still remember him. And honestly, it was from free pizza. They told us we could get some free food, so you know how it is in college. We broke, we don't got no, we eating the cafeteria food every day, so they told us we get some Domino's pizza if we go listen to this guy Chris speak. And when Chris started to speak, he seemed similar to me. He was from DC, I'm from Wilmington. We had that correlation, and then he was just telling me he just brought his wife a new car, he just brought a new car. So I was intrigued on what he did as a profession, and he was telling me about real estate. That's when I really got introduced to it, and I changed my major that day. So after I changed my major, I just dove in. Another thing I was one of my friends that didn't get to play a sport in college. So that was kind of like, I was going through kind of like a hard time because my grades weren't the best. I didn't get to go to like that prep year like a lot of my friends. So it was really kind of like I don't want to say dark time because I wasn't like depressed or something, but I stopped doing something that I was doing my whole life, so I wanted to give that energy to something. So I really dove into real estate after I was introduced to it. After a while, long story short, I became the vice president of Real Estate Club my junior year, became the president of Real Estate Club my senior year, and then I just kept on with that in my mind. And once I graduated, I then started to work for a firm in Philadelphia. It was one of the fastest growing firms in the city. And Philadelphia was actually one of the fastest growing cities with real estate at that time. So I feel like I was working for one of the best companies in the country at that time. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot from them. And that's when I started working with them. I saw them investing in things like that. And from there, I started my own career.
So what was, so, who were some of your mentors? The people that inspired you to get involved in real estate?
So I gotta say the head of my department at the time, Glenn French, he was somebody that took an interest in me. I think he just saw how passionate I was about it. So he was somebody that took the time with me when I would have questions. Once I'm interested in something, I'm gonna ask probably too many questions, but he was somebody that didn't mind all of my questions. So that was probably the first person that really took an interest in me. After that, I would say Brian Corpadillos, who was a guy at Philadelphia University, and he owned a company called Design Blend. And Brian spoke one time, and I just went up to him after we spoke, and I told him like, yo, I kind of got my foot into this real estate thing, but I don't really know where to go next. And he was somebody that would say, look, I got this company, and he kind of just threw me in there, and the rest was history after that. So I have to say those two people, Glenn French and Brian Corpadillos, were probably the two biggest people that, helped my career.
Wow.
people want to know, how you make your money?
So I do it a few different ways.
And pay attention.
The main thing was what we talked about a little bit earlier is education, right? You gotta educate yourself. You gotta know, if you interested in real estate, you gotta know how to navigate a bank. You gotta know how to get a loan. You gotta know how to do these different things. The city offers a lot of programs. So I do rentals. I have rental properties, and I also do flips. So a rental property, that's gonna give you your money every month, but it's not gonna be a lot. It's gonna be, couple dollars, but it's not gonna be a bunch of money. But the flips, that's like a lump sum of money, but it's only one time. So a lot of people feel like you gotta do one or the other. Me, I do both. I probably do, it depends on the year, honestly. It depends on what the bank is doing. That's why I say you gotta educate yourself. You gotta understand what mortgage rates are doing at that time. You gotta understand where you can get a loan from. You gotta understand when you don't have bad credit, what are your options. So it's a lot of different things that I had to go through, right? Like I was a person that had bad credit. So I had to go through private money. That's different from a bank. Now that my credit's getting better, I can go with a bank, but the bank is a different type of language.
And those who you already said, if you got bad credit, you can actually overcome that.
You always got options, right? If you got a good product, meaning a house that has equity in it, there's people that's gonna invest in it, right? Like if you got a house, we over, I don't know if y'all from Delaware, we over the north side of Wilmington right now. So these houses over here are going for maybe $300,000 or $400,000, right? Maybe more, maybe less. But if you got a house that you can find with a seller that's in a desperate need, right? So this is what I used to do. I used to call people. I might call all 100 people that live over here, 200 people a day. And one day I'm calling 200 people. I might get cussed out, I might get a no, I might get a heck no, but I might get one yes that somebody might sell me their property for $100,000, $200,000. Now, see, what I used to do, I would have an investor. So my investor would buy these properties from me. So I would make my money that way in the beginning. I would call. Finally, somebody sell me, let's easy math, for $100,000. I sell it for $110,000. We would take our $10,000, right? As a company, we would take that $10,000. Now, what that investor would do is would take that house that he just got for $110,000, he'd renovate it, and then sell it for $210,000 or whatever the case may be. He might put $50,000 into it or whatever the case is like this. And that's what I do now. But I began, because I didn't have any money, I didn't have any credit, I began just providing a service. After I learned my service, I was around these people that were doing it, then I started to do what they were doing. But I couldn't do exactly what they do. I had to use private money. So it's always a way. If you have a property, if you have equity is the key, right? If you have something with equity, you always gotta play. You always can make a move. You gotta be willing to call 100 people. You gotta be willing to go through the hard work. But if you can do that, you definitely gonna have money on the table.
So how did you get hooked up with the Hope Center, where you actually, really helping people that are in a real, tough situation, homeless, trying to come up, and trying to get housing? How does your company play a part in providing those things?
So I think one of the biggest things is who I am, right? Like I'm a kid from Wilmington, Delaware. So where I chose to invest is Wilmington, Delaware. So you have to understand that everything is situational with real estate. Like somebody that's dealing with properties in Hockessin, it may not make sense for them to deal with a place like the Hope Center. But because of where I am, you have to give people a chance, right? Like I was somebody that was given a chance. Like we talked about earlier, Brian Corpadillo didn't have to take that chance with me. Glenn didn't have to take that chance with me, but they did. So I offer the same thing. These people, they homeless for whatever reason they homeless for, but that doesn't mean they don't deserve some type of chance, right? Yeah. So I gotta give a huge thank you to the Hope Center because they're giving them assistance. So being that they have assistance is something that I can work with, and being that I can work with them and with the assistance, it makes it a good deal, right? It makes it a good deal for me because they provide them with maybe half of the rent or a quarter of the rent, and then they have to find a job, which the Hope Center also helps them with, to find a job and employment and things like that, to whereas though they're able to pay the rent every month. So all of our tenants aren't on 12-month lease. Sometimes I give them a shorter lease just to make sure that it's something that's secure, something they can do. So some of them have 9-month lease, some of them maybe 6 months. But as long as you can prove yourself that you can pay, why not? Why wouldn't I? Right? Like why wouldn't I give them that opportunity?
So, going forward, listen, man, how can you inspire some of the young HBCU students who are up and coming, St. Augustine's, Bowie State, Dell State, Cheney University, Morgan State, FAMU? I mean, a lot of schools and a lot of students who have similar programs, but not have, went the same path you went. How can you, encourage them if they are looking to get into it? You just, talked about flipping housing and developing.
Yeah, so I think the main thing is like, whatever you're doing, it don't gotta be real estate, but whatever you're doing, you gotta really find a passion for it. Like I said, I was one of the only ones of my friends that didn't play basketball or football, right? So, we
you hear that? You ain't gotta play a sport.
We went hard in sports, especially the athletes. We went so hard in sports, man. Like, you learn a lot from sports, so use that energy. That same way you get up 4 in the morning, the same way you doing 3 a days, 2 a days, you got to use that energy for whatever it is you like. See, me, I just happened to fall into real estate, and I just used that same energy. I was studying 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? I died. I was watching every YouTube video. I was asking too many questions. I was doing everything. But the same way you was going about your sport is the same. This my new sport now. I want to be the best. I want the MVP in this thing. So like that same energy, I just transferred to real estate. It ain't no secret sauce. You gotta go hard. It's just like how you get good at playing basketball. You don't just wake up and make your shoes like Mike. You go hard like Mike did. You put them days in. Like, it don't even matter if it's real estate, if you're trying to be a mechanic, if you're trying to be a dentist, a doctor. It's the same recipe for everything. Go hard. That's it.
Hey, so Thomas, check this out. I was wondering, like, what are some of the partners that you have, or different people that actually you work with, and to help you in this effort of becoming this real estate mogul?
Hey, bro, come here right fast. So this like my brother. It's my childhood friend, Ann Bowers.
What's up? How y'all doing?
So this was like one of my first partners. I mean, we kind of the same way that we do everything. We do it family first. So this was one of the first people I called. He was a college athlete. He went to Wesley College. He played basketball for Wesley. And we had a phone call one night. Maybe he could talk about that a little bit more than me. And it was just like, yo, it's time to make some money. And we still working on everything. It ain't like we rich now, but we getting closer. So if you want to tell them about like that call that night and just where we at from then till now, that might be good.
So I was at a time in my life, going through a lot. Me and bro had a real sit down talk. I was back and forth trying to go from if I wanted to go overseas to play basketball. But that didn't work out. It wasn't in the cards for me. So me and bro had a talk one night, and from there it was instant grind. We locked in. We locked in hard, day in, day out, doing residential real estate, residential construction. I'm sorry, building houses, remodeling houses. So from then on, we just was grinding, and where we at now is it's a blessing. That one of my guys that I grew up with since the 2nd grade was able to install in me just the another avenue that I could take my life further, and it's just been on since.
So when you and him met, or as far as met in business, like where were you? Were you just coming out of school?
I was, like I said, I was traveling probably once a month trying to go overseas for basketball.
Okay.
So I was out of school already. I think I just had my daughter at the time, and
So you was
It
out here
wasn't.
trying to grind, trying to get it together.
Yeah.
I feel you. And that's you know what? And that's kudos to Thomas that he saw something in you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you first of all, you was an athlete, so you had some fight in you. You know what I mean? You had all the ingredients that it takes to win. You just needed the right mentor and opportunity. And I'm so glad that he came along and did that. So I want to ask, you know, and both of you guys can answer this question if you like, is that what is the end game? What is it that you really see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years building here and abroad? What's that look like for you?
I mean, for me, I'll go first, and then bro can probably answer it after me, or you know what I mean, with me. But my main thing is the homies. Like, I want all my friends and family to be stable. You know what I mean? That's like the main thing for me, first and foremost, because that's all that really, I ain't gonna say all that matters, but that's the most important thing to me. So like, bro, he a homeowner now. You know what I mean? Like, he brought his first crib already. You know what I mean? I want all my friends and all my family to be on that type time. And then from there, we just gonna grow. I wanna build communities. Like, that's my goal, is to build communities. Like, I was kind of jokingly saying this to one of my homies, but I was like, instead of doing credit checks, this is where you have a God with me. Like, that's how you get into my crib. Like, that's how but like, I want my own rules to do this thing though. Like, there's so many barriers that we got now that it's like, I ain't gonna say impossible because we doing it, but it's tough, man. It's tough to break it down. So I want to build it so it's for us. I want to be a part of building. I want to build with everybody. I ain't gonna say I want to build. I want to be a part of building. I want God to lead me. You feel me? He the one that's ahead of everything, and that's something we getting into more, is the Word of God, really, because that's the most important thing. Like, that's what I want. I want to be around God-fearing men the rest of my life. That's what I want.
Amen. You know, the end game of what it is that you guys see yourself building within the next 5 to 10 years.
For me, I want to reach out more to the kids, building our community that way. It's a lot of kids over here starting at a young age, getting into the streets, getting into trouble, you know. And for me, it's just, bro, and another friend of ours has got a nonprofit right now, so it's getting kids in, you know what I mean, taking them under our wing, showing them a good role model, a good example, you know. We had our times in our life where we was, you know, messed up, but we found a way. And that's the end game. You know what I mean? That's the main point. Is we all have a way out.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So,
and that's a great point to sort of talk about the fact that I think my partner alluded to it earlier about the education. Our kids need education in diverse areas, not just the academic piece, but there are some kids that could be great builders, could be great real estate investors, you know, could be great carpenters or whatever, but they need to have another like secondary education that can give them some hope of really getting out of the hood or getting out of the situation and seeing themselves really build something significant like you guys are doing. So I commend both of you guys for having that kind of vision, because it takes some special people to really, you know, to have that kind of vision to really, you know, want to work with some of our kids and show them a better way. So how does jogging, running, you know, you staying in shape play a part in the whole dynamic of who you are?
So like I was saying, I want to talk about marathon specifically. So marathon is 26.2 miles. So that's a long time, but I think it's necessary for me, because I look at it like I know it's a physical thing, but I look at it like a mental exercise, right? Like, so I just climbed Kilimanjaro. I'm Kilimanjaro in Africa. So I give you the example of marathons in a mountain and one, and how it correlates to business. So the first day when we got to the mountain, we on the airplane. We eye level with the mountain on the airplane. Like, it's high. So I think 20-something thousand square feet up in the sky, right? So when we finally land, the top is in the clouds now. We can't see the top anymore. So I'm gonna compare that to business. Like, when you start, you probably not gonna be able to see the end goal. When you beginning in business, your first day of making that LLC or whatever it is, you ain't nowhere near the top. You ain't nowhere near the finish line, right? So it's the same thing with a marathon, and it's like as you go, you getting closer, you get tired, right? Like as you running a marathon, your body start to, like my first marathon, my whole IT band was squeezing up on me. I could barely move this leg. That's the same thing in business. You gonna run into them hurdles, like you gonna get into them points where you feel like you went a long time. Same thing on that mountain. We was climbing that mountain like day 3, day 4, I could barely breathe. Yeah. So it's the same. So for me, it's more of a mental exercise because it's like as long as you keep going, you gonna get to the finish line. So it's the same. As long as you kept going on that mountain, you was gonna get to the peak. As long as you keep going in business, you gonna get to the finish. It's long though. Yeah. 26 months, it's a long time.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a long time. So that's why I like to run with the business because it's physical too. So it's good for the physique and things like that. But it's really a mental exercise of getting to a finish line, accomplishing things, doing hard things. And once you do it once, then you feel like you can do it. It's the same. 2018, I bought my first house. To where we are now, as much struggles as I went to, as much, like, I'm gonna compare them to them muscle strains. As much as I was stressing then, that's like cake now. Like what we was doing, what I was stressing about then is cake now. Yeah. But it's new stresses, it's new levels now. So those things really correlate in life, really not just business and life. Life get hard. As you get older, you get more kids, you get more money. Like your stresses become different. Yeah. But it's like running. The more you keep doing it, it ain't like it get easy. You get better at it. So that's why I like to use that as a mental exercise. I like those activities, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro or whatever the case may be, doing these hard things, because it helps my mental. Now I done went to the highest peak in Africa. So now my mind is there. I can do the hardest thing. I can get to the highest.
You got muscle memory.
I got muscle memory in every aspect of life, in the physical and the mental. That's why I like to do stuff like that.
Awesome.
Hey, listen, I heard you say you can go to the top of the mountain, but can you run fast down a hill?
I don't even know how to answer that question.
Come on, man. If people want to know, man.
Know what the answer to that.
Can you run to the top of that mountain and zoom down?